Here in London, World Jewish Relief, a charitable organisation, has launched an appeal to help Syrian refugees who've been affected by the crisis in the region. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the 2.5-year civil war has claimed the lives of more than 115,000 people. World Jewish Relief's Joshua Simons told JM1 that the situation in Syria needs to remain in the forefront of people's minds.
People need to be aware of the crisis. I think that for the world's worst humanitarian and refugee crisis today, it's surprisingly underspoken about. People need to be talking about it. People need to be writing to their politicians. People need to be speaking about it on the streets and interested in the conflict, because the more eyes there are on Syria, I think that the quicker the conflict will hopefully reach a resolution, and the more people in the meantime will be generating support for the refugees of the crisis.
Over 2 million people have fled Syria's borders to neighbouring countries. Approximately 130,000 people are now living in the Zatari refugee camp, an area of 3 square miles in the Jordanian desert.
We're working with refugees mainly located in Jordan, in the northern region, in Mafraq, and we're helping mostly non-registered refugee populations, which are particularly marginalized because they don't have access to all of the services which are available in the al-Zatari camp. So we're proud to be working with an Israeli organization called Isra Aid in the first instance to provide emergency food sets and basic supplies to about 250 families, which will equate to about 1,500 individuals. The people affected by the crisis are people like us. Many Syrians who are fleeing and ending up in Jordan are from middle-class backgrounds. They're not people who have ever imagined that they would have to flee their home, flee violence, or that their children might be exposed to the most atrocious of horrors. And it's really amazing to see the scale of humanitarian suffering, particularly in the camps, of people who might not even ever have gone camping before, now having spent 12, 18, even 24 months now in refugee camps. And the worst part is that there's nothing on the horizon for them.
And in the spirit of Tikkun Olam, or healing the world, the charity has received significant support from a cross-section of the UK Jewish community.
All 14 of the major Jewish communal organizations are supporting us, and the outcry of support from the Jewish community has been really tremendous. Particularly the support of the Paris Foundation has allowed us to propel our programmatic objectives, particularly in Jordan with our Israeli partners, to help to immediately be able to deliver aid.
Once achieving their main aims of providing meal sets and alleviating some of the worst conditions amongst the refugees, the charity will focus on the next stage of its support strategy.
Our next step in thinking is about making a more long-term and sustainable intervention, and that starts to talk about providing trauma counseling, psychological support, safe spaces, mostly for women and children, to try to help not only meet the most immediate of their needs, but to help to try to provide a slightly more sustainable, a slightly better quality of life for people that are going to be stuck in this situation for the foreseeable future.
And with this in mind, World Jewish Relief is encouraging people to continue to support their appeal.
The most important thing is to donate. With the funds that we're receiving, the more funds that we have, the more people that we're able to help. We have incredibly low overheads, and we're working to make sure that as much money as possible is reaching the actual victims of the crisis.
Without a doubt, the current campaign will inspire other organisations and individuals to help the victims of the Syrian civil war. For more information on World Jewish Relief, go to wjr.org.uk. So the response from the community has been encouraging, and it's hoped that as the appeal develops, more lives will be touched. This is Celestine Ololode for JN1 in London.